The average boat owner is spending up to thousands of dollars per year just on maintenance. No fuel, no storage, no insurance, just the maintenance cost of owning the boat. And you know what's crazy? I think that a lot of these costs could actually be avoided. After working on boats for over 13 years and helping thousands of people actually slash their repair bills in half just by watching our YouTube videos, I can tell you that you're probably overpaying in some area of your boat. Way overpaying. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to cut some of these costs down without compromising your boat's condition. So we're going to be talking about how I find quality parts for cheap so that you can save up to 20% or more, what repairs you can and should be doing yourself, as well as which repairs need to actually have a professional mechanic do for you. So if you're tired of breaking out another $1,000 every time something breaks on your boat, watch this video until the end. When it comes to finding parts for the engine, this is actually really simple, but one question that a lot of people have is, how do I know I'm getting the right parts for my engine? Which is a valid question, and it all comes down to the engine model and whether or not you have a Honda, a Mercury, a Yamaha, or a Suzuki, a Tohatsu, a Johnson, an Evinrude, an OMC, or any other brand. They're all pretty much the same, but do it a little bit differently. You're gonna need to know some information. Number one, or the most common or the easiest to use, is the serial number of the engine. You could also do some brands by the year of the engine and the model or horsepower of that engine. And they're all gonna have a plate somewhere on the bracket that's gonna give you this information. For Honda, they have different things like this, the BAB. For Mercury, it's generally a number, a letter, and then 6 other numbers. For Yamahas, they've usually got the model up here, and then your serial number is gonna be these three digits here, your shaft link, and then that number right there. So serial number, model number. And Suzuki, OMC, Johnson, Evinrude, all the rest of them, Tohatsu, they're all very similar. This plate is usually on the bracket somewhere of the engine, but once you have that information, we can now look up your parts, and let's go to the computer to do that. Now, when it comes to looking up these parts, it's basically always going to be best to shop around. Things are always changing. Different sites, different companies have different prices for different parts, and you never know where you're going to find a deal. So I always advise shopping around if you're looking to find the best deal. But here is some comparisons and some of the places that I like to go when looking for parts. Of course, you have Google, which there's going to be all kinds of different places. PartsVue, massive one. We're going to be talking about PartsVue, and but you can always find different places. Yamaha outboard maintenance, depending on what you are searching for. This one's Yamaha F250 outboard, but you've also got eBay is a good spot. Amazon, of course, is going to have stuff. Wholesale Marine is also a really good spot. There is also Defender Marine, even though Defender Marine is not really that much for engine parts. It's more for a lot of other boat stuff. But you've also got Great Lakes Skipper and a couple other ones. But I'm going to be looking up a Yamaha F250. I'm going to actually use boats.net for this one just to show you how all this works. So you can pick your brand, whichever one that you have. Let's say that you have a Honda and you're looking up the outboard, and you are going to be, let's say you've got a 2005 and you've got a 225. But here is where that serial number is going to come into play, because depending on your serial number is going to depend on where it falls. Usually for stuff like this, it's going to fall based on the year. So the different years are going to have different serial numbers. So like a 2005 has this 0001 BAGJ 1399999. So those are the in between those two. But if we come back here and we look up a 2003 and look up the same thing, you'll notice it's an 1100, not the other one. Same thing if we change up and we go to a 2004, you're going to go here, see how it's 12. So it's going to change based on the year. This is, for example, if I have a Suzuki 09002F, this is a 2009 engine. But if I'm looking at a 2018, it's going to have that 35001F, and then 81 is the beginning of the serial number, which is that year of 2018. So based on the year, that serial number is going to give you where that's going to fall. And that's like that for most of them. If we go to Mercury, let's go look at 250. You're going to have 2 strokes, 4 strokes, car rated. But if you notice, they all have that serial number range. So looking at your serial number range is where you're going to fall in between getting the right parts for your engine. You need to make sure that you fall in that serial number range, or it could be changes based on different years, different models, whether it's going to be a digital or not. That is something to be very aware of. Now, Yamaha is probably the easiest because you can pretty much do everything by the year. So if I'm looking at 2016, I'm looking at a 300 horsepower. Here are the different model numbers. So all you need is the model number of that engine. You don't necessarily need anything outside of that, like your serial number. That's one thing that Yamaha does do very well compared to the other brands. But once you get into here, depending on the ones, like Yamaha actually has a scheduled service parts. So you can click here, and this gives you a good breakdown of all of your scheduled parts. So depending on your engine, not every manufacturer gives you this nice maintenance thing, but for Yamaha, they do. Now, when it comes to finding a deal, this is where we can kind of get into some different things. I've actually put together this. So when you come to like partsview.com, what they do very nicely is they have the different ones, but they put together maintenance kits. So here is a service kit. You actually click this, and it will bring up all the different kits. So like, let's say you have a DF150, DF175, DF150 SS, 2003 to current. This is your 100-hour maintenance kit, all the stuff that's in there. Well, actually, this is just an impeller kit, so it's a little bit different. So this is going to make it very easy for you to use. Now, if you look at like Mercury, same thing, Yamaha, if you go to the service kits, or depending on which one you do, I think Yamaha and Mercury are the two that they have dialed in the best, because when you go to the service kit for Mercury, you select your engine. Let's say I've got a 135 Verado L4, and I've got, you know, all models, and I'm going to be doing a 300-hour service. Show the 5 products. Here is the Mercury 135, 150, 175, 200 horsepower L4 Verado 300-hour service kit, and this has everything that you need to do your 300-hour. I think this is actually missing the oil though, so the only thing that you would need is your oil. You've got everything else: oil filter, fuel filters, oil drain seal, gear case drain seals, thermostat, spark plugs, water impeller, drive belt, anode kit. So the only thing you need is the engine oil, depending on which oil you want. If you want 2550, 2540, depending on your engine, you might want a different weight depending on where you live. So 4-stroke kit for Yamaha, I'm looking, let's say I've got the F150, I'm looking at all models, I'm looking to do the 100-hour service. So when I do that, boom, here's my kit. Comes with all the different stuff. So this is a Yamaha F150 100-hour service maintenance kit. Comes with the Yamalube and everything, 2006 to current. So this is going to have all the stuff you need. You've got your gear, you've got your engine oil, the other oil, because this is going to be a gallon, this is going to be a quart. Then you're going to have your oil filter, the drain gasket, your gear lube. You're going to have your gear lube gasket, your primary fuel filter, your boat water separator, and it even comes with 4 spark plugs, which spark plugs aren't generally part of your 100-hour kit, but on this one they go ahead and give you those. So that is very nice that they do. Now, I've actually put together 2 different ones to just show you some of the differences here. So boats.net, they don't let you do that. They make you pick every single part all by themselves. So you have to add every single one of these parts, which depending on what you're doing, for this I'm doing an F250 2016 Yamaha, and this has got my engine oil, got my gear lube, got the 3 quarts because it takes almost 7 quarts of oil to do the engine. We've got the spark plugs, we've got the water separator, we've got the oil filter, the oil drain seal, the drain gaskets for the lower unit, the filter for the fuel, a water pump repair kit, and the thermostats, as well as the trim tub anode. I probably could have added the bracket anode on there, but this is what I came out to doing. It's $568, $39.77 for the tax, giving us a total of $607.87. Now, when I come back over here to Parts View, we've got $34.67 because they don't have the anode on the kit, but their kit comes with all that other stuff, and we're looking at same thing, $560, $39.24, $599.86, which we're like, what, $7, $8 difference. So PartsVu is a little bit cheaper for this engine. Now, here is the cool thing. So if I add our Boaters Pod 50 discount code for Boaters Podcast listeners, add that, and we're going to get $50 off. So now all of a sudden we've saved on the taxes, and that brought our total down to $546.36 compared to the $607.87. So at $546, we've now saved what, $61? So doing the math, $61.51 is how much we've saved. So $61 is a good chunk of change to be saving on doing your maintenance kits. So always remember there's potentially discount codes out there, especially when you buy these parts yourself. So that is something that I definitely wanted you to know about. But other than that, when you're doing other repairs, shopping around is going to be your best option because different places are going to have different things for you. If you know of companies like what we have with the Boaters Podcast or Born Again Boating and PartsVu.com, you can get discounts of, like this one's $50. After you do the taxes and everything, it's actually saving you over $60. So this one is a really good example, but this goes across all the board when you're shopping around for your products. Now, when it comes to the actual boat parts though, this is completely shopping around. So I'm going to give you some of the sites that I like to use and some of the places that I know about that might have used parts or stuff like that, but it's all about getting the part that you're looking for, figuring out the model number of that part, whatever the numbers are, and then finding that exact part or finding whatever it is you're looking for. It's totally all shopping around. It has nothing to do with anything besides that. There's a deal over here, there's a deal over there. There's all kinds of different places to find parts, and you're just going to have to shop around for it. Like I was saying earlier, you've got eBay, you've got Amazon, you have Wholesale Marine, you have Defender Marine, there's Great Lakes Skipper, there is Marine Connection Liquidators, you've got Lake Lanier Liquidators, which is more of a boat junkyard, more of a graveyard type place, but it's a massive junkyard, so you're going to have a bunch of different options for stuff there. Again, it's not really, you're not buying new parts from here. Then you've got Don's Marine Salvage, and then one other one that I would throw in there would be Checker Marine, but that's another junkyard type place. But other than that, you're just going to have to shop around for whatever it is that you're looking for on the boat. Now, I forgot to mention Facebook Marketplace, but Facebook Marketplace is just more of a place to find deals on a cooler, or maybe you'll find a washdown pump or something like that you can get a deal on used. But outside of that, it's not like you're buying an oil change kit on Facebook Marketplace unless you just happen to stumble across somebody that has a bunch of used oil, or well, not used oil, but new oil that they're selling that matches your engine, stuff like that. But that's pretty much all it's good for. It's just looking for a deal if you're just kind of scouring and looking for stuff, but it's all miscellaneous items. It's not like it's a store. So that is what Facebook Marketplace is good for. But when it comes to actually doing repairs yourself, this is a great topic because I think there are many things that you should be able to do on your boat. One of them being the oil changes on your boat. Now, I understand that not everybody has the physical abilities to do certain things, and if you do not have the physical abilities, or you do not have the time, or you do not have, you know, something like that, a certain situation, then I totally understand. Like if you've got a ton of money, then spending your time changing the oil on your outboard is probably not the best use of your time when you have a ton of money. But if you don't have a ton of money and you do like to maintain your own stuff, or you want to save money or get a deal on something, maintaining your outboard is the number one thing that you're going to use to save you money, being the oil changes, the 100-hour service and the 300-hour service. Now, there are certain things that you might not feel comfortable with, that being like if you're not feeling comfortable dropping the lower unit and changing the impeller, okay, I understand that. But doing the gear lube, the fuel filters, the oil filter, and changing the oil on the engine is going to save you a ton of money, because usually a shop charges at least 2 to 2.5 hours per 100-hour service per engine. At $200 an hour, or even at $150, that's $400, $500, $350. I mean, it's a few $100s just for the labor cost of doing the service on your outboard. So I think that is a skill that everybody should have, or just a routine. It's not really a skill. I mean, changing the engine oil on your outboard is not really a massive skill. It is more just something that you learn how to do. It's these parts, you change these parts, you grease these things, and that's virtually it. So I think that everybody should be able to have that ability, again, with the caveat of if you got a physical issue, or you're getting older, or you got a ton of money and you don't have a lot of time. Like, there's obviously situations where that's not the best use of your time. Everybody else looking to find a deal or save money, that's it. One other skill though that I will throw out there that I think everybody should do is learn how to do basic electrical systems on your boat. These are things like your lights, your bilge pumps, your float switches, your live wells, your washdown pumps. All of those things are a basic 12-volt component, and the 12-volt system on your boat is very, very easy. You have a 12-volt battery that goes to a fuse or a breaker, some sort of fuse protection. It goes to a switch. From the switch, it will go to your component, and then from your component, it will go back to the battery. It is just a circuit, 12-volt circuit, very, very simple. You can learn all about how to do this in our boaters program in our school community. I'll leave links to that in the description in the first comment. But if you join that community, you will learn those basic skills, because with the basic understanding of an electrical system on a boat, you can diagnose and fix any one of those things, which means your boat is not going to be out of the water or not fishable or not usable, all because your bilge pump's not working, your nav light's not working, your washdown pump's not working. Like, these basic electrical components on your boat are really easy to fix and diagnose depending on how complicated your system is. Now, when it comes to other things that you should probably take it to a professional for, this is going to be a little bit different, because everybody's skill level and time level are going to be different. But for me, I think if you do not have the time to learn a skill or have the time to put into learning something, then you should take it to someone else and be done with it. If you do not have the tools and you do not have the place to work on something, that plays a massive factor in this decision. But for me, I think that when you get to advanced electronics, like, you know, things with your communications lines and the different MFDs and all your electrical systems, like the hardcore electrical components, those are things that you could probably take to someone else to figure out, because it's going to save you a lot of time looking for updates and all kinds of other things. And a lot of that stuff, you might also need a computer to hook up to it to see what is going on with that kind of stuff. Advanced electrical stuff, you probably should take it to somebody if you do not have the time, the tools, and the resources to do it. Fiberglass, painting, and gel coat. This is something else that you probably will take to somebody else. And that is because not everybody has the time to do fiberglass, and it is a very messy job. And depending on how big of a repair you're trying to do, it can get out of hand really quick. And not everybody has a place where you can just sand down the side of your boat and be doing fiberglass repair on the side of your house. So that is one thing that I would generally see people taking their boats to a professional to have it done. But ultimately, if you have the time and the money, you could pretty much learn to do anything that you want to do. It's just, do you want to put the effort into learning how to do something more complicated like fiberglass repair, painting, and doing things like that? Also, you could probably throw in repowers and stuff like that, or an upgrade of your electronics, again, depending on how complicated your system is. If it's a very simple install, like you're just mounting a GPS on top of your console and then running one wire to the transducer and bringing power to the GPS, easy peasy. That's just the basic electrical system. But if it's more of tying into your NEMA 2000, putting in through-hull transducer in, and linking up 3 MFDs, okay, with a VHF and an AIS and all kinds of other things, that's a little bit more complicated. And if you're flush mounting the display, you might not feel comfortable doing that. That might be something that you take to someone else. But again, with time and money, if you got tools and the other two, you can learn to do anything that you want to do on your boat. So I don't want to discourage you from that, but at the same time, be thoughtful of what you really want to get into before you get into that. But with all that information, now you have a really good head start on saving yourself a few $100s, if not a few $1,000s every single year on your own boat maintenance, just by getting a deal on your parts, looking for other parts, as well as doing your own repairs. Doing the oil change on your engine is super easy, and it is something that you can totally learn how to do. Now, you can obviously go about it all by yourself, all on your own, by watching random YouTube videos and just trying to compile all that information together. Doing your oil change that way, perfectly fine. You will probably have no issues with that. As far as learning the electrical skills, you can also do that all by yourself, but if you would like, you can join our boaters program and I can help you learn those skills. We have all those skills laid out into courses that will guide you through the process to learn the skills that you need to be able to fix virtually any of those small electrical systems on your boat, as well as some of the more advanced stuff. Not to mention that we do have a weekly live session where you have questions and answers with me. You can chat with me and I'll help guide you through any boat project that you have going on. It is a great way to advance your boating knowledge in a short amount of time. You can check that out by hitting the links in the description below or the pinned comment, or go to bornagainboating.com.